Hello, and welcome to another episode of Phantoms
and Psycho.
Today, we are talking about internet legend Slender Man. He was originally dubbed as the Slender Man, which I didn't know that it had a D in front of it.
I didn't either.
It's sort of like how moms go like, the Pokemon, the Pikachu. In 2009, a creepypasta created by Something Awful user Eric Knudsen. Is that how you say that name?
I would assume so.
Slenderman is depicted as thin, unnaturally tall, with a featureless head and face, wearing a black suit. The thread was actually a Photoshop contest where users were tasked to create paranormal images. And Eric, under the name of Victor Surge, posted 2 black and white photos of kids with a tall figure wearing a black suit. And he also added text from witnesses, supposedly, describing the abductions of the group of children with the name the Slender Man.
Do you know what the winner of the contest got? Because that's a lot of work.
I don't know if it was like a contest where anyone won. It was just more of a like, here's a challenge. The first photo's caption said, "We didn't want to go. We didn't want to kill them, but his persistent silence and outstretched arms horrified and comforted us at the same time. 1983, photographer unknown, presumed dead." Which is like creepy, even though you know it's fake.
Yeah.
And the second photo caption said, "One of the 2 recovered photographs from the Sterling City Library blaze, notable for being taken the day which 14 children vanished and was referred to as the Slender Man. Former film defects cited by officials. Fire at library occurred 1 week later. Photo confiscated as evidence. 1986, photographer Mary Thomas, missing since June 13th, 1986. Pictures are also pretty creepy. We might post them on our Tumblr so you actually see them. Since Slenderman was fake, he had to be inspired by something. I think a lot of people just think he wasn't fake. Some people were just like, no, he was like a real folklore thing.
No, I mean, I know there is a creature in, I think, a German woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
that
looking
he's
up,
like
it was
based
like
off
German.
of?
It was one of the inspirations. The other inspirations is Zach Parsons' That Insidious Beast, Stephen King's The Mist, which I think there's a movie about it called Mist. I don't know, I only vaguely remember it, and I know it has Tom Welling in it, and that's like the reason I watched it. Also, with the reports of Shadow People, Mothman, the Mad Gasser of Madon, I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm really bad at pronouncing things. And the stories of H.P. Lovecraft. So he was like going in on creepy. Like everything that he thought was creepy, he was like, I'm gonna culminate this into like one thing. Slenderman's creator's intention was to formulate something whose motivations can barely be comprehended, which caused unease and terror in a general population.
Okay, so like just taking like the scariest, creepiest parts of everything and mashing them together.
Yeah. It's like, what are people most afraid of at this point, is what he was saying. Did you know there was a video series evolved around, like, Slenderman?
No. All I really remember is the game.
There's a few different ones. The one I'm thinking of is the Slenderman 8 Pages one, which is the first one that came out in 2012, where you had to go around the forest and collect 8 pages.
I think that's the one I was thinking of too, because I was so mad because you can only get it on iPhones, and I've always had an Android.
Oh, no, the 8 Pages was a PC game.
Was it? No, I think they also turned it into a phone game, and that's what I played it on.
Okay. Because 8 Pages was a PC game, because I have it on my old computer. Since then, they've, like, it devolved into, like, there's a Shrek one. Yeah, where you collect onions, and every time you collect one, it's like, onions have layers, and, like, Shrek is Slender Man in that game. But yeah, there was a YouTube series. It evolved from the original thread by user C.E. Gars. The story is about a film school student named Alex Crayley who stumbled upon something troubling while shooting his first feature-length project called Marble Hornets. This also introduced the idea that he can interfere with video and audio recordings.
Because, I mean, what can't?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most supernatural things are like, oh, it interferes with, like, electrical stuff, which is, I feel, sort of a cop-out sometimes, because they're like, this is why we can't get ghost evidence, because it's interfered with
Which,
our
I mean,
audio
if something
and...
works on a different frequency, of course it's going to mess with that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does make sense.
I didn't know Slender Man was also referenced in the video game Minecraft with the Enderman character.
I've never played Minecraft, so I have no idea.
Same, that's why I was like, I didn't know that he was in Minecraft. I was just like, I wonder, like, if he ever thought, like, that is what would come of making this character from, like, a Photoshop challenge.
He probably like, did not expect it to blow up the way it did.
Yeah, because it blew up.
Kind of like with Black Eyed Kids, like, someone mentioned it on his story on the radio, and it just kind of blew up. No one expected that.
Yeah. Oh, the web series, Marble Hornets, which is also the story about the film school student that's trying to make his first feature-length film called Marble Hornets, introduced the idea that Slender Man can, like, play with humans, like, their psyche.
Oh, okay.
Like, make them go insane, pretty much. Like, they can fall under his influence and be violently insane and be, like, puppets.
Fun.
Yeah. Apparently, graphic violence and body horror are actually uncommon in Slenderman mythology, with many narratives choosing to leave the fate of his victims obscure. Which is, like, cool. They're not going that, like, extremely violent route.
But that kind of makes it creepier, because...
Because, yeah, it's like, what did they do with it? Because, like, the first 2 photos of him ever existing was, like, just about him kidnapping children.
Which also brings in the debate of if... We've talked about this before. Like, if you say something, does that make it real?
Yeah.
So, like... Because, again, Slender
like,
Man,
do you give power
someone made
to it
him up?
becoming real?
Yeah.
Because, like, that's also the thing with, like, if you put an idea in someone's head, you can't take that idea out. Like, it's always going to be there, even if it's wrong. Like, okay, it makes me think of the Welcome to Night Vale thing, where he's just like, catalogs cures cancer. That's not real. But someone on the radio just said it to you. And now you'll think it's real, without knowing the origin it came from. I'm like, that's most folklore and, like,
Yeah.
mythology. Like, there's no, like, concrete for, like, a lot of it. Slender Man, evidence of where it came from. But,
like, vampires.
Yeah. There's no concrete of, like, how it started.
Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
There's a vague mentions of, like, these things, and people think, like, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's just vague. And you can relate Bloody Mary stories to a lot of things, because, like, a lot of people are afraid of the dark, and that has a lot to do with the dark. And I don't like looking in the mirror in the dark. Like, I know nothing's ever gonna happen to me if I look in the mirror in the dark, but, like, it is in my mind that there's something bad in the mirror in the dark, even though I'm, like, almost 24 years old and I know that there's nothing bad. But yeah, Slender Man. He has inspired a bunch of phone games. Like, hundreds of phone games. And he's inspired a YouTube series, I think 3 YouTube series to be exact.
That you know of.
Yeah, that I know of, that are, like, popular enough to be mentioned.
There's a movie.
And there's a movie.
And there was a stabbing.
More on that in just a minute. But first, enjoy this music.
With the bed sheets over our heads, we'll be spooky ghosts together in our beds. In our beds. Let's put the bed sheets over our heads. We'll be spooky ghosts together in our beds. In our beds. We can glide over the oceans, and we can hover across the clouds, where ghosts aren't allowed. We can kiss under the stars, and we can kiss on planet Mars in our heads. In our heads. And I glance over at you, I can can see right through you 'cause you're a ghost, a spooky ghost. And you glance over at me, you can see right through me 'cause I'm a ghost, a spooky ghost. As ghosts, we don't sleep, but that doesn't mean that we can't pretend and lie around. We're in a ghost romance, so let's haunt the ballroom dance. Come on, let's take a chance. You can be a ghost with no legs, you can be a ghost with no arms, you can be a ghost with no teeth, you can be a ghost with no head. And I'll love you, and I'll love you. It doesn't matter, 'cause nothing matters. And I'll love you, and I'll love you forever, 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 forever. Let's put the bed sheets over our heads. We'll be spooky ghosts together in our beds, in our beds. Let's take the bed sheets off of our heads. Let's fall back together in our bed and kiss each other like humans.
We're back. So I am going to cover the Slender Man stabbing, the most sensationalized one. On May 30th, 2014, Peyton Lutner, Anissa Wira, and Morgan Geyser had a sleepover at Morgan's house. They're all 12.
12?
Yeah, super young.
Okay. I didn't know they were that young. Jesus.
They were at a sleepover for Morgan's birthday.
Uh-huh.
They went to the skating rink, hung out, had fun. You know, typical things 12-year-olds do. Right?
Right.
Okay. Well, it turns out they had originally planned to Peyton at the sleepover that night. And they planned on doing this by taping her mouth shut and stabbing her neck and running away. Here's one of the problems with that plan. It's at one of their houses.
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you be like, oh, let's go stay at her house and then we can just run away from her house?
Yeah, that makes no sense. Although they're 12, so I don't expect, like, everything to be thought through.
Great. Agreeing. But, you know, but obviously that didn't happen. Because apparently they wanted to give her one more day.
One more day to what?
Live.
Okay, why?
Mind you, they didn't plan for it to be a full day.
What the fuck is wrong with these kids?
The next day, they get up and, you know, they're hanging out and they're like, oh, let's go to the park that's nearby.
You know, kid things. Park.
And so then they're like, okay, we'll do it at the bathroom at the local park because it will be easier to clean up that way because there's the little drain
the
floors. And, well, they don't go through with that either. So, finally, they lure her into the woods by the park under the pretense of playing hide and seek. And then they hold her down and stab her 19 times.
Just like in random spots or just like in a particular place? Like
I think it was mostly random.
With like a knife?
Yes.
Like a standard kitchen knife?
I'm pretty sure it was a standard kitchen knife.
How did they not realize that someone was carrying around a knife the entire day?
She had it in a purse. One of her mom's own purses.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is weird, because, like,
But-
is it because Slender Man was, like, drawn to woods? Or is, like, that's just what they thought?
They believed he lived in the national forest right there. So, I'm not
Okay.
sure where they got that from.
If they planned on stabbing her at, what was it, Morgan's house?
Okay,
Why
their
That's
Okay.
so weird. Their thought process makes no sense to
They
me.
claim to have done it to become Slender Man's proxies and to protect their family. They believed in killing someone, they'd become his proxies, and that would protect their families.
The logic here makes no sense. From,
Well-
like, 12-year-olds, I kind of get it, though. It kind of makes, like, have you ever heard of the Blue Whale Challenge?
No.
It's really similar to that, where, like, they were forced to do the challenges or else their family would be harmed. But they were, like, really, really dangerous challenges. Equivalent to
kinda
killing
like-
someone.
Kind of like the Momo challenge.
I don't know. Haven't heard of it.
Oh, or it's not a challenge, but like it's like in the middle of like kids videos on YouTube and like kids YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like that, but it
And
was,
it will
like,
tell you-
directly messaging the kids to do stuff.
Well, it will sit there and be like, "Oh, do this. Don't tell anyone, or I'll
Yeah.
hurt you, or I'll hurt your family." And it wouldn't be like leave the gas on a stove.
How many
and
stoves
stuff.
have gas still, though?
I
don't think
I know.
many.
One of my friends, her last apartment had a gas stove.
But yeah, the logic here is very flawed.
Anyway, they left her there, and she was able to drag herself to a nearby road where a cyclist came upon her and called 911.
Oh my god.
She's 12. Also, I want to say she was in the hospital for 7 days. She's okay, but went to school in the fall of that year. So this happened in May, and she went back to school in the fall. So it was basically just taking a summer vacation and going right back to school.
Do you think
After
they would,
your
like...
two best friends trying to murder
Do you
you.
think they would want to, like, make sure she's definitely okay, like, psychologically, physically,
I'm sure they did.
and then think, oh, maybe we should homeschool you for a little while?
Apparently she slept with a pair of scissors for a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
I'm
her
sure they-
best friends tried to kill her. It creates
None of
a
her family
lot of
was
distrust.
present at the hearings and stuff for the other girls. They did not speak on it there and stuff.
So she was present, but not her family?
No, she was not.
Oh, okay.
Her nor her family was. But
I mean, it's kind of hard to see someone that tried to kill you.
Yeah.
Especially if you guys were best friends and
Yeah.
you had, like, that trust, and they almost killed you at your house. Like, of course you wouldn't want to, like, bring that trauma back into your life.
they were found pretty quickly near Interstate 94.
Like the kids that stabbed her?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were caught pretty quickly and apprehended. And they were found not guilty by mental disease or defect.
I feel like a lot of murder cases that happens. Because
I mean,
people always bring
they-
up their, oh, it was mentally unstable. Like,
They were
especially with,
both
like,
sent-
shootings, they're like, oh, mental health is an issue. But then there's also the thing of, like, no one wants to get anyone mental health.
Yeah. They were both sentenced to spend time at State Psychiatric Institute. Anissa was sentenced to 25 years to life, and then Morgan got 40 years.
Why did Morgan get more?
I believe Anissa held her down while Morgan stabbed her.
Okay, so she actually did the thing.
Yeah.
And Anissa
And I
was
also
just kind of
believe
like,
Morgan was
proxy.
friends with Peyton first.
was Morgan also like the ringleader with the idea?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But, like, there was no, like, abuse at home or anything. They had pretty normal lives. They just... And, like, when police went and looked, you couldn't tell they hadn't been planning it for months.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, where was this? Like, what state?
It was in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Huh. I don't think I would... Maybe they were just bored. Wisconsin seems kind of boring.
Apparently they stumbled across the video and it really... Or Slender Man on stuff, and it just really messed with them.
That's so, like, wild.
Yeah.
Did you know she also said she conversed with Lord Voldemort and had one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles talk to her?
No, I had not seen that. I hope they're getting the necessary help they need.
Yeah. Oh, the creator said that he's deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and his heart goes out to the families of those affected by its terrible act. At least the creator's like, this is not my fault, guys. Like,
this is not what was intended.
Yeah.
Like, especially with something that you can so clearly go back and see the origin story for.
yeah. There's also another story that happened in Ohio.
There is?
In 2014. Also, Florida.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, well, I don't feel like that's that surprising from Florida.
Yeah.
Florida's pretty fucked up.
Well, a 14-year-old girl in Port Richey, Florida, allegedly set her family's house on fire while her mother and 9-year-old brother were inside. The police reported that the teenager had been reading online stories about Slender Man, and as well as the manga Soul Eater.
What's the manga Soul Eater?
I don't know. It's just what it said. It was the reason that she did it. Also, a 13-year-old girl attacked her mother with a knife and said it was involving Slender Man who motivated the attack.
Okay, so that one states Slender Man.
Yeah.
Didn't the other ever say that she burned the house because of Slender Man, or was it just...
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Also, early 2015, an epidemic of suicide attempts from the ages of 12 to 24 on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Slender Man was cited as an influence to believe in suicide spirits similar to Slender Man. Okay, alright. I feel like the Wisconsin one is the one that, like, people think about the most.
Yeah,
though.
because literally when you type in Slender Man stabbing, that's what comes up, is all the articles about that.
I don't think the creator had the violent act in real life in mind when he was thinking about, this creepy thing that kidnaps children.
Yeah. I mean, he was literally just doing something for a contest. Like,
Well, it was like more of a challenge or anything.
Yeah.
Of anything. But to kill your friend or try to kill your friend because of an online folklore thing that has clear origins of being a Photoshop challenge, it's a little crazy. It's a little wild. Also, killing yourself in the name of Slender Man, like in the spirit of him.
yeah, that I don't get. Follow us on Instagram at Phantom_Psychos.
And Twitter at Phantom_Psychos.
Check out our Patreon page at Patreon/PhantomsandPsychos.
Yeah. And if you want to see episode notes, check out our Tumblr at phantomsandpsychos.tumblr.com.
Also, check out our website, phantomsandpsychos.com. Rate and review us on iTunes. And I want to give a shout out to 2 podcasts who have been hugely supportive of us. And y'all should go check them out. It's Nefarious Podcast and Bitches and Murderers Podcast.
It's a good name.
They're great. Both of them do such a great job.
All right. Well, thank you for listening and stay spooky.